Russia gave hard deadline demanding the European Union to buy its natural gas with only rubles, and the G7 said no. So what would happen when the deadline of March 31st comes? A Russian regiment commander killed himself after seeing a hopeless situation to his tank supplies. So what is going on there? Mariupol is facing its final days with the lives of 160,000 people at stake. And what is the fallout of the Ukrainian war to China and Taiwan, if you're curious? And we'll continue our story of the Wisconsin hearing on the 2020 election. Finally, finally is the story. Yeah, it's the story of the integrity of the 2020 election. Welcome to Wei and Kathy Show. I'm your host, Wei Fang. And so today we'll be continuing on with the story of the Wisconsin State Assembly's hearing on the 2020 integrity of the 2020 election, even though we are 16 months over, okay? The hearing is still going on, it's touching a lot of very sensitive issues. But, okay, we will be doing that part of the program at Safe Chat. So for now, please prepare yourself. As halfway, we're going to switch over to Safe Chat so that you understand what I mean. All right. So, before we start, please remember to press the like and the subscription and making sure the little bell is pressed so that you stay connected with us. And thank you very much. Okay, so before that feature story, we'll be starting with the news today, okay, the top news today. So first has to do with Russia. Okay, Russia made the demand last week that the purchase of its natural gas shall be only paid for in rubles, Russian's currency. Otherwise, Russia will not sell the energy product. It is said the starting date would be March 31st, which is like 3 days later, okay? However, the G7 countries announced today that they rejected this demand from Russia and said the unilateral change violates the terms of the contract for the natural gas purchase. European Union currently imports 40% of its natural gas and 25% of its oil from Russia. And the U.S. has promised to supply 15 billion cubic meter natural gas to the European Union within the year of 2022 to alleviate the European Union's energy pressure after the Ukrainian war started. So a bit background about the EU or European Union's energy situation. Let's just take Germany as example, okay? So under the Germany, the long-term, the four-term Germany Chancellor Merkel, and her policy, which mainly is green energy, green economy policy. So Germany first pretty much closed down 80 to 90% of its nuclear plants. Okay, currently there are only 3 nuclear reactors working, and which provide about 12% to 15% of the electricity in Germany. And she also closed down basically most of its coal. It's a coal electricity plant. And then now, the country promised to close everything, all the coal mine and the coal power plant by the year 2038. All right. So 3 years ago, President Trump offer them the liquid natural gas, LNA, and as the major substitute for the Germany's energy. But Germany said no for whatever reason. Okay. The Merkel said no. And instead, they resort to getting the natural gas supply and oil from Russia. At that time, if you still remember, President Trump was very mad at that. He's saying that, what are you doing? You're trying to buy your energy, your key energy from your enemy. But Merkel apparently believed that she can make a friend with Russia. Russia can become a good neighbor. Well, until now. And with the Ukraine war and the European is united against the Russia's invasion. However, what about the energy? Which has become a big problem. As we just said, the demand from the Russia that you have to pay for the energy in ruble. Okay, the ground for that is because European and especially Germany has no other supply of its energy. So that's the problem that Germany face. The corner is, they have put themselves in. So as you read about that, the U.S. is providing 15 billion cubic meters of natural gas within this year. This is the effort that President Biden promised a few days ago, all right? And the demand by Russia apparently aims at strengthening the rubles as a trading currency instead of the U.S. dollars or euros. The demand, if met, will either force the EU to buy rubles with their dollars or euros, or buy Russian goods in order to get rubles. Apparently, that's the purpose of this policy change by Russia. However, the demand would also subject the EU, European Union, to use a currency that can be inflated by Russia at will. So will Russia get its way? G7 already said no. They're still 3 days away from the deadline imposed by Russia, and both sides are holding their ground. So we'll wait for a bit to see the result of this, almost like a game of chicken. All right, and also the next piece of news has to do with Ukraine. According to the Ukraine intelligence, a Russian tank regiment commander killed himself after finding out 90% of the tanks held in reserve were unusable because parts has been stolen. Well, the dramatic story came from the Ukraine intelligence. Okay, it says that the commander is from the 13th Tank Regiment within the 4th Tank Division of the Russian Federation. The source said that Russia, after seeing so much loss to its tanks in Ukraine, is moving its tanks, totally 1,300, from its reserve. However, many tanks lack maintenance, and many of the electronic equipment in the tanks that contain the precious metals have been stripped for parts, and they're rendering the tanks unusable. The frontline commander killed himself after finding out only 1 out of 10 tanks is more or less serviceable. As of now, as of today, Russia has lost 1,891 military vehicles, including hundreds of tanks, in its war against Ukraine. And after Russia announced its new strategy of focusing on liberating the Donbass, quote unquote, okay, its attack of the eastern city of the Mariupol got only intensified. 80% of all the buildings in the city have been completely destroyed. And the city has no supply of gas, electricity, food, or even water. As of now, 160,000 civilians are trapped in the city. Ukraine government said the humanitarian corridors cannot be opened due to the blocking of the surrounding Russian army. All right, several military analysts estimate that Mariupol, a city of 400,000 people before the war, basically it's a medium-sized city of the Ukraine, could fall anytime. All right, with all the story of the Russia-Ukraine war, I just want to present to you my analysis of its impact on CCP and also on Taiwan, if you care. I think because after the war, okay, there would be 3 implications, and many of them really have a lot to do with America. Okay, the first implication is that after the war, Russia will downgraded to a country of not much relevance. Okay, at that time, the world will see another version of the Cold War between the U.S. and the CCP and China. I should say CCP to be more precise. The China under the ruling of CCP, and then this will become the main issue of the world. We'll see, and I think our news program will receive more attention. Okay, and will carry more value when that time comes. Okay, and because the world see how China or /CCP behave during this Russia-Ukraine war, and China is trying to place both party, but still it's a neutral position. It's called the full name is called the pro-Russian neutral position, and everybody sees that. All right, and this is the first implication or consequence, the fallout of the war, and the second is the threat to Xi Jinping's position. Okay, Xi Jinping is seeking to another 5 years, and now seeing no end in his serving as the party's head. And after this, the 20th Party's Assembly, which would be happening nearly around November, okay? And then if he succeeds, he will basically continue hold the reign of China, just like Putin did since has been doing since early 2000. So not just China, okay? The CCP would be seeing that. Do we have another version of Putin in China with Xi Jinping? So, but Xi Jinping have no way to back off, okay? And he has, jailed or purged so many CCP officials. He really have no way to back out. He has to hold on, has to hold his ground. He have to get us the next term. And then a lot of people don't like that. So there will be a fierce fight, in-party fight, and even it could spill into very big issues. In America, in the Western terms, we said a divided house cannot stand. This is pretty much what the CCP is facing in the remainder of the year, due to the war of Russia and the Ukraine. So the third one is Taiwan. Taiwan learned very precisely from this Russia-Ukraine war that a country who want to save itself got saved by the world. Okay, Taiwan has never been so bold and confident in safeguarding itself. It always expect the U.S. will run to its aid. Well, boot on the ground, meaning that. But through this, Russia learned from Ukrainians that they need to really fight for itself, and the world will come to the aid, not just U.S. So this is the one major change to the Taiwan, and then which would prevent the CCP taking an aggressive position at this time. At least it would delay that. So you can see, first, after the war, China and U.S., the conflict will become the main issue of the world. And the second is Xi Jinping will face a very uncertain future. And if he fall, or if he win by purging another 60% of the party officials, either way, it's a big deal. Okay, well, and it will just plant a lot of instability into the party. The third is Taiwan will become more confident and more self-reliant and and more assertive. That's what we see. Okay, so that's that. The next thing we'll be talking about is the feature story. As you remember that the last Friday, Kathy was here and she gave you the story of behind the Wisconsin State Assembly hearing on the integrity of the 2020 presidential election. All right. So today is the continuing version of that, and then we have to move on for the reason that you know. So now everybody, please follow me. So we'll be moving on to the Safe Chat. If you have not used the Safe Chat, now is a chance to download, just search Safe Chat as the app, and in the Google Play or the Apple Store, and just get that installed. In the meantime, our DJ, you can please please copy and post the Safe Chat program link, and in the chat room so that people can go over there. So let's just get over there. And I need to explain that why Kathy's not here, because she is working on the feature story. So she will show up at the Safe Chat side. So let's move over there together, okay? Let's say, okay, 1, 2, 3. Let's go.